Hey everybody, for this edition of Bite Size Reviews, it's going to focus on one of my favorite topics lately, which has really been blushes, bronzers, highlights, all of those sort of accent type products that can really make a massive difference in the overall look of your makeup. If you're new to my Bite Size Reviews, it's a series I've been doing where I fit in reviews on 5 products, maybe 4 products, just depending on what kind of things they are. I squish all those reviews down into 10 minutes total so you can really come away with a lot of information in a short amount of time. I really love making them, but while I'm editing, I do tend to resent myself for a long intro because it takes up time. First, we have the e.l.f. Jelly Pop. These are called Flush Blushes, and these are a very, very interesting texture for blush. I have 2 shades. One is berry and one is peach. They are a truly unique product here. When you see the texture, it like wiggles and jiggles. Like, remember Jell-O jigglers from back in the day? It's that kind of sensation, only instead of being a pure gel, it's like a creamy gel. And in terms of working with this product and having the greatest success with it, I would say don't over apply. What works best for me is truly just dabbing a finger right onto the surface of the product so you can feel it, and then dot it onto your cheeks, and then you can blend it in with either a synthetic brush or your fingers. Either way pretty much works. Just a light dabbing. Try not to apply too much pressure ever when you're working with a cream cheek product, because odds are you've got some kind of foundation underneath that you don't really want to screw up. But the pigment on this berry shade is very, very pretty, and it reminds me actually quite a bit of the finish and color intensity level of the Glowgasm in Pinkgasm here from Charlotte Tilbury. That was one of the big rave products from that video where I did a full face of Charlotte Tilbury stuff, and this is really, really similar to that. It's got shimmer, but it doesn't have glitter. It's almost like there's a bit of a metallic sheen running through this without any chunky texture, and then enough color to really look like blush. So this berry shade, I really do like it. It's, again, an unusual texture. It's very jiggly. This might be the prettier, more sophisticated way to go about that look on the cheeks. And this is like a literal tub of goo, but the end result is really similar. So I don't have this on my cheeks today. I was applying that on a different day. The other shade, the peach shade, personally, I don't get quite enough blush intensity out of this. There's a little bit of an added warmth to this shade. There's nothing really awful about it, but from a blushy perspective, I feel like the berry one has just a more satisfying look on the skin. In a nutshell, this is one of those kind of gimmicky type products that you really raise your eyebrow at, but I actually ended up really liking it. Now we're gonna move on to yet another blush format. I've had a lot of questions about these. They run 25 bucks a piece. They are called the Color Drops Serum Blush, and they come in 4 different shades. Hopefully these will come back in stock soon on the M Cosmetics website, but they are a very interesting texture. We have a dropper style applicator, and I think Serum is a really good description of this kind of product. You feel like if you're used to using any kind of a blush stain on your cheeks, the liquidy nature of this makes you think like, okay, I'm working with a stain or something on my cheeks, like it's gonna be liquid and it's gonna have a dry down, it's gonna really set. No, this has a kind of a creaminess that stays in it, almost like a hint of an oily type feel in the product. Not overly oily, don't take that the wrong way, but there's a little more richness in the formula, hence the name Serum, that keeps it from going to that quick set place on your skin. And the end result of that, I think, is a more radiant flush to the skin, because your skin still maintains some natural looking texture as opposed to a totally matte, dried down blush stain product. It's interesting to work with because you do have some time, I feel like, to blend it out. In my demo where I'm first working with the lightest shade, Rose Milk, I mean, you can see I dot it on the skin, but I'm in no rush to blend it out because it's just not gonna set up and be difficult to work with. I can blend these in just fine with my fingers or a synthetic brush. When you use your fingers, if you're just kind of getting acquainted with the formula, you can really feel what I'm talking about, in that it's liquid, but it's not just pure watery liquid. It's got like a little richness to it. I think the Rose Milk shade is pretty. It's gonna be the most subtle one and the most geared, I think, toward fair skin. Then you've got 2 shades right in the middle that are kind of your powerhouse colors. I really love Pink Nectar. That might be my favorite one currently, and so I did choose to apply a little more of that on top of my look just to show you how you can up the intensity. It's really gorgeous. I could just see this kind of peachy pink shade working across the board on so many skin tones, but if you like something even warmer, even more corally and rich, the shade called Sunset Sky, I also feel like I can wear that. I feel like I can wear any of these shades because of the way they can be sheared out. The other one here is Soft Amethyst, and yes, deeper skin tones may gravitate toward toward this, but also if you're willing to apply minimally, that can work on anyone. That sort of plummy shade actually looks super natural on so many skin tones. Some of you might be thinking like, oh, M Cosmetics just has a free pass on this channel. She's gonna love anything. No, I actually find those to be extremely user-friendly, very unique to anything I own, and very effective too. Good staying power with them, and they just look completely like skin, not like a texture of makeup, and there's no shimmer in anything either. So I have been asked how these compare to the Glowgasm. Totally different, because this is a very shimmer infused product and these are just creamy, like pure colors. So I love them, and it's definitely something to look out for when they come back in stock. Next up, we're going to talk about a bronzer. This is from Milani. It's called Intense Bronze Glow Face and Body Powder Bronzer. Powder, I'd use that term a little bit loosely. This is kind of like a powder cream hybrid product, really, when you feel it between your fingers. Yes, it's like pure gold and very sparkly, and I feel like this is not the kind of thing I would really love wearing on my face. For the sake of the demo, I did put a little bit like up on my hairline, but now I can see real glitter flecks there. I don't love that look. I'd be more content to wear this on my body. I've tried it with this fuller brush, and to see a good effect, you kind of need to load up the brush quite a bit, like any kind of kabuki you might be going into this with, or you could take your fingers directly in and just kind of swipe it on. But what I think is most important to know about this product is that by the time you blend it out, whether it's with a brush or with your hands, I feel like you see a lot more gold and glitter than you do actual bronzer depth. It's so hard to know this kind of stuff, especially if you're just shopping online and you haven't been able to see something like this in person or touch it. Just plan for a very glitter heavy product, and if you want like glistening skin all over, maybe you'd like this. I think you could literally put your fingers in it and just rub it on. But I gotta be honest, it looks pretty unnatural on the face, and it's not something like I'm gonna be reaching for all the time. This came in PR and I just wanted to share my thoughts on it. Another product that Milani has thrown out recently that I wanted to give you a real taste of is this new Celestial highlighter palette, and you do have 3 highlighters in here, and they're all kind of a cream highlighter, even more creamy than I described that bronzer to be. Each and every one of these is packed with glitter. It's again a situation where you look at them in the pans and you think, well, those look kind of interesting, kind of different, but by the time they shear out on the skin, it's just like full-on glitter. You don't get to enjoy so much of the pigment. One is kind of like this mix of gold and lilac. It's actually kind of hard to get a good mix with that because it's not a powder, it's a cream. You've got straight up gold in the middle, and then the last shade in the lineup really ends up looking very similar to the first, maybe just a little more pink intensity in it, but they are so glittery. Getting use out of it going forward, it might be pretty like tapped onto your eyelid, but it's not even the kind of thing I want to wear around on my cheeks, even really in test mode, because when I have tried it, it's just like the glitter won't come off. You feel like that's stuck there, and maybe from a far distance, this looks like the most stunning, gorgeous highlight, but you let anybody get within normal talking range to you, and it's just gonna look like a glitter explosion on the cheeks. I'm just not a fan. We are gonna end this video though on a very high note, a highlighter palette that I think is absolutely fantastic. I'm not really shocked that I love this because I think it's in a formula that's very similar to another product this brand makes. I'm talking about Beauty Bakeries Milk and Honey palette. This is a highlighter palette, and I have been a huge fan of their Cotton Candy Champagne palette. This is loaded with 4 beautiful glowy blushes, this in the very same size, 4 beautiful tones of highlight. Here's why I love this. Everything is pigmented. I would say these are highlights for people who really like a profound highlight on their skin. That wet look, popping shine. I mean, that's what I've got going on with the lightest shade here on my cheeks. I put it on with my Moda Highlight and Glow Brush. Nothing special, just dabbed in, kind of buffed it on the cheeks, and then the end result does look less like makeup and more like sort of a moisture, a dewiness is just sitting on your skin. It's so pretty. I would compare the feel of these to like a Becca type of highlight, just like I've compared these blushes to the Becca Luminous blushes, but you're getting 4 in 1, and I love how each shade is really different from the next. So if you just want pure brightening highlight, you've got that. There's something with a pinky tone. There's something, and yes, I can highlight with that shade too, the bronzy one. You get that golden bronze hue to enjoy. I actually applied that up on my forehead a little bit so the forehead could have a little gleam, and then you've got that beautiful peach effect down there on the bottom, and they're just all so usable, just little different tones that you can play with, and I feel like I'm getting the same enjoyment out of this as as I was the glowy blush palette. Big sizes all in one palette. For that reason, I think it's a great value, but I do think the people who would like this best are those who do like a fairly dramatic highlight. While there's no glitter, no like filler type of unattractiveness in any of these, they are just very pigmented, glowy products. So know that going in. If you want something softer, go more for that e.l.f., illuminating palette that I talked about a couple videos back. That might be more your style if you're into the subtle highlights. But if you really want a shiny glow, check out this Milk and Honey palette. I think it's hugely underrated. Whew, so thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this little review roundup, and please let me know in the comments if there are any other themes you're really interested in for a bite-sized review video. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.